Now, the second thing I want to touch on is the wrist sweatbands. Now, there are ultimately two ways of strangling someone. A person can strangle someone with their bare hands. This is known as manual strangulation. And the second method is to use a ligature or a cord, and this is known as ligature strangulation. Now, there's good reasons to believe that Dwight's preferred method, not his only method, but his preferred method is ligature strangulation. In a ligature strangulation scenario, there are ultimately three ways that someone can handle the cord or rope. The first is to simply hold the rope or cord in the grip of your hands. The second option is to sort of wrap the cord around the palms or fingers of your hands. And the third option is to wrap the cord around your wrists. Now, we've done an experiment here to test the leverage and tension of each method, because in the theme of Dwight perfecting his modus operandi, we should assume that he's also perfected the cord brandishing method. Now, in the first method of holding it in the grip of his hands, you can see that we don't have much rigidity. There seems to be quite a bit of give in the hands and the wrists. We also risk the cord actually slipping out of your grip in this particular scenario, should the victim be strong enough to pull the cord out of your hands. So I think it's very unlikely that this is the method used. Now, the second method is to wrap the cord around the palms of your hands or your fingers. We actually see this method sort of referenced a number of times throughout the show. In the costume contest episode, you can see that Dwight has wrapped the cord sort of around the palms of his hands, and in his left hand, he's wrapped it around his two fingers. Now, based on this image, I also think it's unlikely that this is the method used. You would ultimately put too much tension around the fingers, and I believe this method would actually risk injury to himself, especially considering how much tension is needed. There is slightly more tension and rigidity than the first method, but there's still a decent amount of give in this example as well. So I don't believe this is the perfected method. Which brings us to the final option, which is that he wraps the cord around his wrists. And as you can see in the experiment that we've done, the amount of rigidity and tension that one is able to exert with this method is significantly greater than the first two. If you want to try this experiment at home, guys, do it, and you'll see it makes a massive difference. So in the theme of perfecting his modus operandi, this is the method that Dwight uses. And that's what brings us back to the wristbands. The wristbands are there to protect Dwight's wrists from visible markings and abrasions.